Hello, this is Scottcruz, intuitive medium life coach, blending the worlds of metaphysics and psychotherapy. So 5D Ascension. Now, if you've been digging around the metaphysical communities and the spiritual communities, I'm sure you've come across the 5D Earth or the 5D Ascension theories. And so what is it precisely? So one thing that's important to identify is, where are we now? Well, we're clearly in a three-dimensional format of existence. We're in a three-dimensional world. Fourth density, meaning 3 of space, 1 of time. So being in 3D means you can't see anything outside the parameters of physicality, which means a lot of people who are stuck in 3D or have a 3D perspective will say things like, oh, I'm just dealing with the cards that life has given me. Life is happening to them, not through them. So a three-dimensional perspective, of course, feels bound by this reality and things of the parameters of this reality and the limitations of this reality and nothing more. That's being stuck in 3D. Now, what is 5D? Being in the 5D Earth means that you're in this Earth and planet that you're in now, but you're seeing the parameters of it that you haven't seen before that are invisible. You're seeing beyond the scope of physical reality, beyond third-dimensional reality. You get to see the cause and effect of things, how things are really connected, where you stand on the soul level of consciousness. And then so you get to identify the whole connectivity of you and the collective, and also where you come from, and also how things connect in this life, all that wonderful stuff we'll get into. This is what 5D Earth Ascension and perspective really is, a broadening of perspective of your existence and experience as a soul, as consciousness, not just as a third-dimensional avatar. I like to call it an avatar because it's like this physical reality is like we're making sim characters, is how I like to say it. And so this is my sim character named Scottcruz. Hello. So being 5D is really about a broadening of perspective and seeing things beyond third-dimensional reality. How do we get there? Well, the main gateway, I would kind of say the only gateway to 5D Earth or 5D perspective or 5D Ascension is to do the inner core work of the soul. Not just the mind, but the soul. Diving deep into your soul's progression, diving deep into the soul's need for change, in which way, that's how you actually develop a fifth dimensional perspective, working on the soul level. And also having the desire to change and to evolve as a being of creation, as consciousness. That's a gateway to 5D. So here's some parameters and indications of being in a fifth dimensional perspective. The first one is you will realize that life has no victims. Victimization is an experience, okay? It's not a parameter of life. It's an experience of it. There's still a cause and effect to victimization. Now, all because some people can identify the cause of why victimizations have manifest doesn't mean it hasn't manifested or has a cause somewhere along the way, whether it be in this lifetime or in a previous lifetime. There's a cause for it. Now, in a three-dimensional world, we will say we're a victim to reality. We're a victim to circumstance. Things happen randomly and we get victimized by this. That's a three-dimensional perspective. If you can't identify cause in a third-dimensional format. Now, if you're living in 5D, you can identify, wait a minute, I have karmic patterns of a previous life that's causing this victimization in this life. I must change that pattern. So, of course, identifying a cause gives you a solution. Quite simple. And once you realize you can create solutions for these problems, no matter what they are, you realize, well, no one's really a victim. Victimization is only manifest by allowance or carelessness. A lot of people manifest being a victim because they're so careless. And so victimization or being a victim to a certain circumstance might help them get out of being careless as well, or being naive or not being so perceptive or aware or alert. Now, once you realize that life has no victims, that victimization is just a manifested experience, you realize you have the power to dictate and control everything. That's the importance of this. So once you're in a 5D perspective, you realize life has no victims. The next indication that you have ascended into a fifth dimensional perspective is your intuition dominant. Your intuition is your main guide. You can feel the truth of things. You can feel when things are false. You can sense where to go, where to not go. Your intuition is so much driving the show. Your soul's driving the show. That logic becomes secondary because logic is based on what you've programmed your brain to believe in previously. So if your intuition dominant, you start creating new logic to coincide with your intuition. And of course, you will gain the insight and knowledge that you need in the physical realm to get your brain on board with the soul. That's why studying is very important. Doing research is important. Knowledge is power. But your intuition dominant. That's a great side effect that you're in a fifth dimensional perspective. The next indication that you're in fifth dimensional perspective in 5D Earth is that you understand that you can change karmic patterns. Meaning you get to realize that you're carrying patterns from previous lives that need to be fixed. So in a fifth dimensional perspective, you understand this. You can see how it's carried in this life and what you need to do to change it. And to expand as a soul, to expand as a consciousness. And realizing karmic patterns comes along with past life regressions. Understanding certain past lives that you may have had. So it's a wonderful tool actually to get you to understand certain patterns that you've been carrying that you can change to elevate the soul. And to experience this world in a very joyous and fulfilling way. So being able to identify and change karmic patterns is a wonderful, great indication you're in 5D. Now the next indication that you're in 5D is a wonderful one, is a realization of abundance. You'll realize there's nothing but abundance. You see abundance everywhere. Abundance is, comes in two formats, positive and negative. And so a lot of people say, well, there's no lack. Well, you realize there's an abundance of lack. So even when people are focusing on lack, they have abundance of lack. You realize that it's all about conditions, about states of being. And so, of course, any state of being you want to be in, you'll get an abundance of that experience. So yes, the realization of abundance is a wonderful indication that you're in 5D. Now the next one kind of coincides with abundance, is about manifestation and synchronicity. Now, of course, when you're in 5D perspective, you realize manifestation is happening rather quickly. You think about something, it appears, you start seeing things connect very easily within the universe and yourself. Other people connect so easily. You start seeing how everything is really connected. And that's what synchronicity is. You get confirmation of connectivity. So you'll start seeing aligned numbers like 111, 222, 333. Now, a lot of people say, well, that's confirmation bias. You think of a car, you see it everywhere. Well, think about that for a moment. If you're thinking about something and then all of a sudden you see an external world, isn't that what manifestation really is? So yeah, you should be taking advantage of confirmation bias to manifest a reality that you want. Because if you're thinking about something and it shows up, it's giving an indication, what is that telling you? So that's what synchronicity really is. It's evidence that you're connected and in sync with the universe. Another indication that you're actually in 5D is that you are truth-focused, not belief-focused. That your agenda is to align always what is true for you and also fundamentally true in existence. That's your goal. Not protecting beliefs that you have. Many people in the three-dimensional format want to defend their beliefs. And they have so much pride that if they are proven that belief to be wrong, they will resist it and still fight against it. And, we see that a lot today with the political environments, that everyone's fighting for their beliefs, and even though they know they're wrong, they're still to fight for it. And so that's third-dimensional limitation, lack mentality. So when you're 5D, you want knowledge and you want the truth. You're truth-focused no matter what. Even if it means burying and killing old beliefs, you find that to be a blessing. You also are very conscious of wanting to get rid of limiting beliefs. It's a task of yours throughout your life if in 5D. You're completely in control. Again, all of this is about being in control, by the way, if you look at the common thread. So being truth-focused, it's a desire. It's a very natural desire, just wanting to be aligning with the truth and sharing the truth and expanding the truth is how you also know that you're in 5D. So the last indication you're in 5D is not so positive, but it is the truth of this matrix that we live in is revealed to you. What does that mean? You realize those who are controlling the matrix, it's 2%. You realize the corruption of government. Of course, not to say everyone in government is corrupt. There's a lot of people working in government that are working to really want to make change. But you start realizing there's people that control the government and control everything else to dumb down society, to eliminate the truth, actually the hidden truth about consciousness. They're suppressing that information through, of course, government, through media, through culture. Now also through the political systems, you will realize that the two-party system is an illusion that has been designed to divide and conquer. So that's another thing you realize when you're 5D. You see the matrix for what it really is. But of course, you won't let it dominate you. You still get to create your life as intended and maneuver around these things. Just like a lot of people who experienced COVID, had a lot of negative experiences because they're functioning in three-dimensional format. But those of us who are in 5D, COVID was a blessing for us. Brought some great changes that we needed. So just like this, even with those who control this reality and dictate things that are happening in society, they might have some negative things happen, but those of us in 5D would not be affected by that. We'd walk out unscathed. If anything, it'd be a blessing for us. But again, we have those dictating culture, trying to influence the mind of the youth and influence the mind of people who are reliant upon culture, to be in fear, to be limited, to not think outside of third dimensional reality, to rely on governments. There's also truth wars out there. They're throwing truth out to society, but wrapping it in lies. You see right through all that in 5D. And you also know you're in 5D because you try to explain this to people. People think you're crazy. So be mindful. You start seeing through all these structures and paradigms and illusions and agendas. And you stay secured in the soul, knowing that you're still creating your existence the way it's intended, that you're using these parameters of limitation for soul growth. So therefore, you know you're still in control. So these are the main indications that you've elevated into a fifth dimensional perspective. At the end of the day, you'll feel like you're in control. You're more intuitive, you're more insightful. You realize the importance isn't about this reality. The importance is about the soul's evolution, and this reality is reflecting that. And you're using the soul journey to manifest it in a physical space for experience. And also for enjoyment. There's a little bit of fun and a little bit of drama too. Sometimes we as humans love that drama. And so we're experiencing right here in a physical life. Now, if you need assistance to identify certain patterns that you have of the past, or if you need help and assistance transitioning into a fifth dimensional perspective, you could book a session with me online at scottcruzpm.com, or you could subscribe to this channel. I will be posting a new video every week. If you have any suggestions of additional topics you want me to discuss, you can leave it down below or send me a message. But either way, please remember, you are the god of your own myth. What do you want to create? Much love.